Well, SVV Sec. Or just, I'm gonna call you Sec. Because that's the only way I will probably remember that name. Welcome to Fluff, thank you for the follow, I appreciate it. Alright, let's go on with the second SCP today. Lunar von Neumann Catastrophe. I went almost with German, because Neumann is very German name, or German last name. But Catastrophe is of course English, so I almost said Catastrophe. So I was like, wait, that's not the, the word I'm reading. Oh boy. I am not interested in the collab. Thank you. Thank you very much, I'm not interested. I'm good. Thanks for the offer. Alright, let's go to it. Euclid. Due to its location, SCP-1941 is uncontainable for the time being. Of highest priority is the development of advanced lunar reconnaissance orbiters to continue to track its progress, as well as the lunar retrieval mission in order to procure a sample for study. For the moment, the phenomenon is not visible from the Earth, making cover story unnecessary. It's on the moon. Although that looks suspicious. That looks suspiciously big. Foundation intelligence officers are to liaise with the various national space agencies, NASA, European Space Agency, Russian Federal Space Agency, and whatever that means, and ensure the continued suppression of information relating to SCP-1941's existence. Here we have a picture that says SCP-1941 phenomenon photo provided by LRO, the black area resembling a network, is the result of ongoing construction. The movie tells the truth. There are Nazis on the moon. Description: SCP-1941 is a manifestation that was first discovered on May 28th, 2000, when attention was drawn to what had been assumed to be a small comet impacting 500 kilometers southeast of Jackson Crater in the northern hemisphere of the far south of the moon. Since its discovery, evidence of rapid industrial activity and exponential growth have emerged. The currently deployed lunar reconnaissance orbiter's LRO resolving power is insufficient to determine exactly what is responsible. However, anomalously high temperature and spectroscopy results suggest that strip mining, refining, and fabrication are taking place. In addition, neutrino activity consistent with controlled nuclear fusion has been detected. They're making nukes. It has been conjectured that a technological, sophisticated alien package impacted the moon and is responsible for SCP-1941. Such a package, known as a von Neumann probe, will be able to make use of available raw materials in its environment in order to replicate itself. When enough copies had been produced, it could then turn its attention to some longer-term goal. In the decades since it was discovered, the area that the phenomenon encompasses has grown by the factor of 3.5, giving it an estimated doubling rate of 7 years. It currently occupies an area of 250,000 kilometers squared, 6% of the moon's surface, or roughly the area of the United Kingdom. If it continues to spread at the same rate, it will begin to be visible from Earth in August of 2023. That's like 9 months ago. The entire moon's surface will be covered by 2040. And here we have another picture saying, detail of the individual node and its excavation. The network is self-similar. Individual nodes resemble the network of large. Network at large, not of large, network at large. Depicted here is the equivalent of a single node in the preceding photograph. This image is at the first limit of the LRO's resolving power. Crater is approximately 50 meters wide. Damn. Addendum. Oh, I can always see there's some math happening down there. Beginning in June of 2002, transmissions from the site were detected. They consisted... Let me just get this out. There we go. They consisted of a bootstrap linguistic program that established a small mathematical vocabulary followed by a particular number and a request for its prime factors. It is currently unknown what the consequences are of either transmitting or failing to transmit these factors. Unfortunately, the number in question is intractably large and not amenable to factorization by any conventional means. It is not known if the difficulty posed by such a mathematical problem is meant as an intelligence test, or if the civilization responsible for SCP-1941 has drastically overestimated humanity's abilities. The possibility exists that this is meant to measure a civilization's sophistication and to judge the level of resistance that it could bring to bear where SCP-1941's intentions is in fact hostile. What false is the expression for the number in question. I never seen a power off and power off like that. Which is... I wish Howard were here. He would tell me what this means. Recent development. In March of 2014, a secondary message was detected in what was thought to be noise in the primary channel. Using the established mathematical vocabulary, the secondary message appears to suggest that the transmission of the aforementioned prime factors would signal the lunar phenomenon to halt. It has been conjectured that SCP-1941 was designed to be shut down by a neighboring civilization of sufficient sophistication should they find its activities undesirable. Given this development, interest has been renewed in attempting to factor the mathematical expression in the primary message. Investigations into leveraging the processing power of SCP-155 were made, SCP-155 being a computer capable of an asymptotic number of computations in infinite amounts of time, as well as investigation into the attendant risk of doing so. See documentation for SCP-155. Man, that was years ago when I read that. Estimates have been made on the amount of energy that would be released by SCP-155 during its attempt, and whether or not provision should be made to relocate it off the Earth should it prove necessary to safeguard against a PK-class event or the sterilization of all life on the planet. The lower bound placed on the amount of energy released is 4.2 times 10 in the power of 18 joules, deemed acceptable, roughly equivalent to a gigaton nuclear explosion. The upper bound, however, has been placed at 3.1 times 10 in the power of 44 joules, or roughly the amount of energy released by the average supernova. Lovely. Lovely. Research is currently underway to refine these bounds. Mathematical supplement. The secondary message is as follows. Oh my god, what in the hell am I so... Some math wizard is going to tell me in the comments what this all means. Because they have to, because I have... This is beyond me. Which has been interpreted to mean the following. Never mind, you don't need the math wizard. The interpretation's right down below. Okay, the first one is the definition of the function which yields the prime factors of an integer. Ah. Well, that's not much of an explanation I hoped it would be, but sure. Definition of omega, the interactively a large number, and then the condition where the prime factors of the empty set yields the base of the natural logarithm, E interpreted to mean continued exponential growth, while the prime factors of the intractable number yields 0, interpreted to mean the cessation of growth. Upper and lower bounds. The lower bound is estimated using the expectation that on average as the number omega approaches infinity, omega will have that number of prime factors. The upper bound is estimated using the assumption that the number omega represents the pathological case in itself and is itself prime. See, here's the problem with SCPs like this for me. I wish I could be a lot more like, you know, stoked and a lot more like excited to read this if only like it was explained in a way that also makes sense for people who don't understand that type of math. At the end, we understand like, hey, there seems to be some sort of civilization on the moon building what could be a devastating bomb strong enough to potentially blow up the entire Milky Way galaxy if they were to continue the way they do. That is cool. And terrifying, because they're on the moon. Like, what are you gonna do? Who are you gonna send up there to stop them? But in the same time, like, if you just go into like the deep math, that's when you lose people. Unless they understand the math itself as well, I feel like that's when you lose a lot of people. When people try to read that, be like, okay, I understand that the math has been solved and interpreted and so on and so forth, but for the audience, that doesn't mean anything if they don't understand it. That was like the same with like the supercomputer and all that stuff. There were some SCPs that are like that, where they just like they love going to the entire science behind it, which is great. You should, if that's what you want, and you should do that. But you also have to make sure that people who don't understand that type of science, you have to make it easily understandable for them. You can't just like write all the techno babble and be like, everybody's gonna get along with this. But yeah, because I'm pretty sure there are people who understand that and they're like, oh, I really do like this one. Because it's decently rated, so that means that a lot of people actually saw it and were like, this is nice, this is cool. But yeah, for a moron like me, it just goes right over my head.